Hello everybody, Algebra 2, Unit 2, only second unit, we're going to get it going. So, let's start with something nice and easy like order of operations. Yay! Hey, we all know what that is. Alright, you may remember this familiar phrase, PEMDAS, but what we've got going on here is we're changing it up a little bit. We're putting a G. Okay, because we know that P stands for parentheses in PEMDAS, but parentheses are not the only type of grouping symbols. When you include multiple groups, like as you can see here, we've got some absolute values going on, and when we just get more complicated type problems like this, we're going to have some brackets and stuff like that. So multiple grouping symbols. So we're going to kind of change that P to a G. So see if you can remember that. And then the rest is, of course, exponents. You can multiply and divide and add and subtract. And we'll go ahead and do this starting step by step. We'll do a few of these together. And then you can... And then I'll give you a few to do on your own. Just highlighting this, order of operations. So the G is grouping symbols. That's probably the main thing you want to remember from that. So this shouldn't be too bad. Alright, so here we got to start with our grouping symbols, so we are starting in the parentheses. When you have a grouping symbol, you start inside of that kind of all over again. If you have another, then you look for another grouping symbol. We have no more grouping symbols inside the parentheses, but we do have exponents. So that's our next value that we're going to go through. So 2 to the third power, that's just 2 times 2 times 2, which is always 8. So that's a common one that I have memorized. Alright, I've got that simplified, and if you want, you can go ahead and say, alright, 11 minus 8 is 3. I know that next number is going to be 329 minus 3 plus... And you are allowed to go ahead and simplify any other exponents that are out there. So I'm going to go ahead and do this step. 36 divided by 4. Alright, so it looks like all our exponents are gone. Multiply left to right. So we got subtract plus divide. Alright, so we're going to, no multiplication, but next is division. So we do this. 36 divided by 4, which is 9. We can drop those parentheses since it's just a single number. And then we work left to right. 29 minus 3 is 26. Plus 9 is 35. And your answer. Yay! Alright. I'm going to leave that one for you to do. Let's scroll down. We're going to do this one. Alright. Starting with, so this itself, okay, is a grouping symbol. I know it's like, oh, that's division. Yeah, but it's also still a group. There's its own group on top and its own group on the bottom. So you have to treat these as groups, okay, and then you can worry about the division part later. So, up here in this group, I have, so you, essentially what I'm saying is that there's really brackets around all of this. Now, since the division is its own thing, the brackets aren't necessary, but really they're kind of invisible. It's like understood that there's brackets there. And sometimes, actually, when you go to put this in the TI 84 calculator, you would have to put brackets to show that all of that is in the numerator, because you can't. Well, you can't, but most people don't do it that way. But I'll show you at some point how you can get this big old division thing in the calculator. So let's work on the top. We'll start with our grouping symbols. So we have this set of parentheses. We've got to work inside there. We have a grouping symbol. Really, absolute value is a grouping symbol. So let's go ahead and simplify that. 7 minus, what is the absolute value of 10 minus 12? So remember, you take away the negative. So 10 minus 12 is negative 2. And then the absolute value tells you to take away the negative and change it to a positive. So that's really positive 2 plus, and 5 squared is 25. I'll go ahead and simplify anything on the bottom, because you can simplify different groups at the same time. It's not like you have to do one group and then all that work, and then do the other group and all that work. In this case, we can work on the top and bottom at the same time. So 9 minus 4 And then the top will become, let's see, we still have a grouping symbol, so we got to get rid of that. 7 minus 27. 9 minus 4 is 5. Equals, all right, 7 minus 27 is negative 20. Divided by 5, and then that would give us negative 4. Being your solution. All right, let's do one more. We'll do the one, yeah, go ahead and do the one underneath it. All right, because they went ahead and threw in some square roots there. All right, so again, working at the top, 15. Now, that's brackets, isn't it? Yeah, that's bracket. So 15 minus, I'm going to go ahead, well, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to drop the bracket. I just noticed the squared is out there. 5 minus parentheses. All right, negative 6 plus 2 is negative 4. Plus radical 9, I already know what that is. That's 3. And then I have my bracket squared. 3 minus, simplify the exponent. 3 to the third power is it 27? I think it is, yeah. 27. Alright, in here, we're still working inside my parentheses. Get rid of those first. So I have 15 minus, that's negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. And still all of that is squared. Denominator is negative 24. Alright, the top becomes a plus, minus a negative, changes to plus, so 15 plus 1 is 16 squared. 16 squared over negative 24, and then 16 squared is 256. Divided by negative 24. I'm just going to do math, enter, enter. And you get 32 over 3, which is not right. Okay, let me find my mistake. Alright, did anybody catch my mistake? Well, I would give out extra credit if this was live, but since it's not, yes, I did make a mistake. Alright, so we're more apt to make mistakes when you're doing this by hand. Right here, negative 6 plus 2, but I didn't take the absolute value, so that should be positive 4. Alright, so let's go back and fix all this. So positive 4 plus 3 is 7, so this should be right here, this should be a 7. So 15 minus 7 squared, 15 minus 7 is 8, so this should really be 8 squared. This should really be 64. Try it now. 64 divided by 24 is 8 over 3, negative 8 over 3. Yes, that's what we wanted. Alright, so that lesson being said, yes, I do want you to be comfortable with doing these by hand, okay? And you're probably, some of you may have gone from the very beginning, well, I'll just put that in the calculator. Yeah, you can put it in the calculator. Alright. But I gotta caution you with a few things, but really the calculator is a great way to check your answer, especially in this case. I'm like, I get this answer, and then if I put this in the calculator, I need to, it's a good idea to compare the answers, okay? Now, you can input things incorrectly into the calculator, so that's the main drawback with it, but usually it is apt to make less mistakes than you. Alright, for me. So we're going to start by this. We're going to do number 3. So take a look at number 3, and then we're just going to put this in the calculator. 7 minus, and I'm doing Desmos calculator, so that way you can see it on the computer. And we are going to have to get familiar with Desmos. So the absolute value, is right here. 10 minus 12. Now, it shows the absolute value, so all you have to do is push the arrow over your cursor after it to indicate that you are done using the absolute value. So then plus 5. Here's your squared button. If you want to square a number, you type in the number and then that button. And then my parentheses is done, so I go over. Okay, again, I'm doing number 3, so take a look at number 3 with me. Then let's go ahead and do division, so divide. Now the nice thing about Desmos, it will automatically make it to this big fraction for you. That's kind of cool. 9 minus 2 squared. Now, the other thing to look out for is this. Okay, so this isn't supposed to be there, okay? But what I can do is put my cursor up in the numerator and finish it correctly and then delete that to make it exactly. So you want it to be exactly what is on your paper, okay? And then giving us the -4, which is what we wanted, okay? Alright, let's see if, so I think we should be okay with that. Oh, let's go ahead and try typing 5. So let's see, in my parentheses, it actually is kind of similar. Alright, looking at number 5, I'm going to delete this. I think the negative is the same button. Yeah, -6 is the same as minus, unlike your TI calculator. -6 plus 2 is the absolute value, and then after that they added the square root of 9. So radical is right here, radical 9. And then in front of that, I know there was something not right, 15. And then it had a bracket in front of that. So bracket is next to your letter P on the keyboard. And then the denominator is 3 minus 3 squared. Alright, so let's see what we got. 15 minus absolute value of 6 plus 2 plus radical 9. Okay, we are missing the squared out here. Let's see. So I just put my cursor out, push the squared button, and it gives me that. 3 minus 3 squared, one element list. Alright, what does that mean? Alright, so this was the problem. I went ahead and changed, I think I had that wrong previously, but I changed the 3 squared on the bottom to 3 cubed. Now, I forgot this, and so now I've been reminded. Desmos actually does not like brackets. So what you have to do every time is put parentheses, even when you have a bracket. So I just changed this bracket and this bracket to parentheses, and voila, here we go, -2.6 repeating. So you can put that as the answer as well, and I won't count it wrong as long as you have that repeat bar, and that was this for this answer, the equivalent, -2.6 repeating. There is no math enter on Desmos to change it to a fraction, so you can put the exact answer. Or another thing that's a good idea to do is if you do want a fraction, like if you have fraction answers, multiple choice, you could say, alright, you can do the top and bottom separately. Oh, I pushed the wrong thing. Let's try that again. Trying to do this the fast way. There we go. Copy, paste, alright, and then copy and paste. So you could do this. You could put the numerator separately, denominator separately, and then 64 divided by -24, math enter the other calculator, and get the simplified fraction. Okay, so there's just some things about Desmos to kind of get us used to it, because we will be using it for sure a lot in this class. Alright, why don't you go ahead, pause the video, and do 2, 4, and 6. Okay, when you're ready to see the answers, press play. Okay, so here are the solutions and the work to number 2. 2 is 61. Feel free to pause the video at any time if you need to check this work to see if you can find your mistake, if you made a mistake. Number 4 is 29 over 4, or 7.25. And number 6 is 4. Okay, now we're going to jump into evaluating. So evaluating in this case is just going to be substituting. We are given A, B, and C as values, and then you just plug them in. To be safe, use parentheses. I always have trouble spelling this word. I think that's how I spell it. Anyway, and it's just safer with your negatives and all that kind of stuff. So, for example, plug in A is 3 times B is negative 4, like in this case. When you have a negative squared, a negative number times itself changes to a positive number. So you don't want to forget and put your negative out there and then say, oh, that's negative 16. No. The negative is with the 4, so negative times a negative is positive. C is 8. 8 plus 12. So 3 times 16. 8 plus 12 is 20. 3 times 16 is 48. 48 over 20 is 12 over 5. Which would be, is it just 2? Yeah, 2.4. 2.4. So either one of those, okay? So hopefully that's not too much trouble for you. Let's see, do we have any of those on the next page? Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I believe you'll be fine on these. Let me see if there's anything crazy going on in here that we need to do together. Just make sure you do your exponent first before you multiply by 2 here. And use your calculator if you want to double check anything. Alright, I think that looks, I don't think it, oh, I guess this first one, yeah, we got the negative in front of the x squared, just so that way we're clear on this one. Negative, and then, again, when you substitute, put in those parentheses only around those numbers, okay, that you're plugging in. And because whatever is in front of that, like in this case, you want to leave that. That's a separate item. That doesn't mean you make it negative 5 squared and get positive 25. No, that negative. This is a slightly different case from the one we just did, where the 5 is the only thing squared. Okay, so they want the result. What they're saying here is that I'm intentionally saying I want the result that's a negative of x squared. So negative 25. And then you just keep continuing the rest of this. So, go ahead and pause the video. And when you're ready, press play, and I'll have the answers and work here for you. Good luck. Alright, so here are the solutions. Number 8 is 52. Number 9 was negative 75. Number 10, 37 over 3, or 12.3 repeating. Number 11, 76. Number 12 is 10. 13, negative 32 over 3, or negative 10.6 repeating. 14 is 19 divided by 8, or 2.375. And if you started the bottom section, simplifying expressions, I just went ahead and started with a couple. Remember, you combine like terms by moving them next to each other. The really important thing when you combine like terms is keep your signs with the number that they are before. So like this negative is before the 7x, so it stays with it, okay? The positive stays with the 10, the negative stays with the 11. This has nothing, so it's positive. And rearrange everything around, simplify it out, and if you have to distribute, make sure you multiply by the second term as well, okay, to get you this 14 right here. And then rearrange everything, and you leave it alone if you have a variable and then a constant. So if you are ready and good with that, you can go ahead and try these next ones after I just point this out. This negative is really, remember what number is here? You're like, oh, it looks like it could be distributive. It's just a 1, okay? And really all you got to do is make everything in this parentheses the opposite sign. So minus 8c, and then minus 1 is what it's supposed to be. Sorry about that little weird thing there. But yeah, other than that, and then your signs right here, minus, negative, that will really be a plus 15x. And then this right here, minus another negative, will be a plus 6y. Okay. Alright, go ahead and finish that out, and press pause, and then play when you are ready to see the answers. Alright, here you go. Check your answers. And then I'll see you on the next video.